You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2 and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and this week, listeners, as promised, I am on the search for Linda. I've been searching for Linda now for a week, haven't I, Linda? 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 Where is she? Who is she? And if I check my list, I can tell you all the places I've ticked off so far that definitely are not where Linda is right now. Let me see here. Under a stone. Yep, Linda was not there. All I found were 3 earwigs, and I asked if any of them were Linda, and they said no. In a jar, Linda was not there. I just found peanut butter. It was not called Linda. The city of Las Vegas. Linda was not there. A historical reenactment of the Civil War. Nope, no Linda. In my shoe. No Linda. In one of those hamster tunnel systems. Nope. The town of Steeple Bumpstead. Absolutely zero Lindas in the town of Steeple Bumpstead. The world's largest particle physics laboratory at CERN. Well, they said Linda could exist in a possible multiverse, but they had absolutely no way of checking yet. Next door, I knocked on the door next door, and a woman called Sorothy Bootroids told me to go away, or she'd release her dancing crocodiles to come and get me. So, listeners, I'm struggling to think where else I need to check in the world to find Linda. I wonder if there's any help from you lot in the mailbag this week. DJ Frankie Roberts says on Apple Podcasts, I'm a big fan, taking all the stinky 100-year-old humans and animals away without effects. Again, big fan. This podcast helped me through tough times. Look, I'm so pleased it got you through tough times. Were the tough times the medieval ones? Because they looked really tough. I mean, having to ride a horse all the time and not having the internet. Ugh. Well, I'm very glad Radio Nonsense could help you through the medieval times. And thanks for taking all the stinky 100-year-olds and animals away, but I'm now worried. What if Linda was 100 years old, and now you've taken her away? Is that why I can't find her? Puppy has said this on Apple Podcasts. Hi, Tiernan, I do not know how to spell your name. Here's some farting ducks. And I have a joke. What do you say to an evil egg? You're a deviled egg. I hope you like it. By the way, I've sent you 100... What number is that? 100,000, 100 billion dogs? Because I love them. Bye. Well, great. Thanks, Puppy, for, what is that, 100 billion dogs, I think. Dogs are great, but this is a lot of dogs. And also I'm outside, so... oh, look, there's a squirrel. And they're gone. But thank you for the message and the very, very excellent joke, Puppy. I'm glad deviled eggs aren't really evil eggs, as I think deviled eggs are tasty, and I'm sure if they were actually evil, they'd give you a terrible stomachache. I think really evil eggs are the really, really old ones, you know, the ones that smell like a rotten sock has been sick onto a rhino's fart. Well, thanks for your messages, but not many clues to helping find Linda. No matter. And if you do want to send in any Linda clues or anything else at all, including any questions you need to have answered, then please do get your nearest snoring blockheads, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if those same grown-ups want to help support this podcast, then they can sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition for a very small fee at Apple Podcasts, patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids, or, probably by the time you've heard this, on Supercast, which I will give more details about next week. Do also check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk for all of our live shows, and hopefully I'll see you at some of them too. And is Linda under this leaf? No. Unbelievable. Just some ant. Are you Linda? No, okay. Well, while I keep looking for Linda, you will listen to this most important bit. I am so excited that for the first time on Radio Nonsense, I am joined by Jen Wakefield, the person who is most notorious for being the best at swinging a cat and able to find out the size of any room in the universe. Jen, it is such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And to be honest, I'm so glad this is a podcast because I'm covered in fur right now. It's really embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, people are used to it now. When I turn up after the cat swinging, they sneeze, they
Mm.
sometimes comment on my furry outfit, and I'm like, it's not a jacket, it's just covering me. And but it's nice. I look a bit of a state right now, so this is great.
Well, I don't know because I think it's I am someone who is against the fur trade, but you are wearing fur for a very good reason. In that is you've been I'm guessing today you've been very busy in various different sized rooms with various different sized cats.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Of course it's sustainable fur. But I don't know if you've heard about the property boom for cats. But this has become obviously I used to just do regular rooms, but people are now building huge cat homes, particularly in the major cities, London, Manchester. I know Skegness has had a big boom, and I think generally people want to use the cat swinging method to not, I'm working with people like chartered surveyors and people like that who want to get this cat measurement.
Mm,
They're
mm.
saying it's more accurate than any other sort of room measuring tool than ever before. So I'm a busy, busy bee right now, Tiernan.
I'm really impressed, and I am really impressed that you're not only finding out if there's enough room to swing a cat, you are finding out if there's enough room to swing a cat in a room that will then be used for cats, that
Yeah.
then potentially cats themselves could swing around in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the cats have benefited from the huge cat tax breaks, which means they've got a lot more disposable kind of kibble. Their toys are able to be traded in for currency that they can now get bigger homes for, basically. So, they are just popping up everywhere. I mean, I've definitely heard, particularly in London, I know some people are trying to get them as their homes because a
Mm,
lot of them
mm.
are the same size as the sort of flats they're
Yes,
renting, which
yes, yeah.
which is understandable. But we've got to make room for the cats. To be fair, they are a big part of a lot of people's lives. They add a lot to the happiness of the environment, and I'm loving seeing all these cats everywhere at the moment. To be honest.
It's wonderful, and I think what you do is just wonderful. And I mean, I obviously I've known about you and your incredible profession for a long time, but I was brought to your attention. I think it was that newspaper article for a couple of months ago where you had to find out the room of a very very large airspace hangar, and you swung several lions. I think.
Oh gosh, that one. Yeah, well, that's a funny story actually because initially I approached the zoos and they
Mm,
were
mm,
like, "No, sorry, they're already working." And but they were like, "Look, we have got this up and coming lion. He's not with us yet, but he'll be with us in a couple of months." So I had to keep the whole operation on hold. They were supposed to launch the hangar, like they were supposed to launch how it was being used, everything like
mm,
that.
mm.
They held off just for this lion. The lion was called Chica Mika,
Oh, good name.
up and
Mm.
coming, and has a great and amazing R&B EP
Right, right.
out soon. And so they were like, "Look, we want to he's up and coming. We're bringing him in." So they brought him in. He did his initial show, and then they said, "Right, we want to send him on all kinds of events. We want him to do podcasts. We want him to do
Mm.
brand partnerships. We want him to be involved in this aerospace hangar swing." So I waited and waited, finally got him. It was 3 months wait in the end. Finally got him
Wow.
up. And not only, because we waited, not only did he allow me to do the lion swing, he got his friends involved for free. So I only had to pay a fee for him. Got his friends involved for free, who were street dancers.
Wow.
Um, yeah, exactly. They're a troupe of four. They're called the Main Event, Main spelled
Oh, I love
Mane.
it. Yes, that's very
Um,
good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so after the swinging competition, we got all the people who worked in the hangar. We got some NASA people as well. They came along for a concert performance from Chica Mika and from the Main Event as backup dancers.
I mean, I mean, that's extraordinary. That's absolutely extraordinary, and I just, uh, I fantastic that you were able to pull off such a stunt. And if anything, I suppose the only downside is that no one was really interested in the launch, were they? The shuttle launch, because they'd already witnessed the greatest show they were ever going to see.
Yeah, I did get in a little bit of trouble for that, I have to say, but because the event was such a success, that's obviously,
Mm, mm.
people don't, the power of print media, Tiernan. I was in the paper with Chica Mika in the Main Event. That's what obviously put
Yeah.
me on the radar to be getting all these jobs for the cat swinging cat houses.
So it all leads to another bit of work, and I mean, really, if NASA was sensible, they'd have had a lion pilot the shuttle anyway, and then we, possibly have you check all the rooms in the shuttle first with a lion, and that would have been the way forward. But they don't, these people don't learn.
No, that's you are one step ahead of the game, Tin, and you're absolutely right. This is not animals' first time in space, and they should be working. They should be ahead of the curve with that one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And is there? Look, I suppose this is quite a controversial question, so I'm sorry to ask it, but it needs must. Have you ever thought about working with any animals other than cats?
Yeah, well, there's been a little bit of discussion. So we've looked at possums, we've looked at
Mm,
raccoon. Obviously, I'm London based at the moment. We travel all over.
mm.
Foxes are obviously have been discussed quite a lot because there's a lot of them, and
Yes.
quite a
Yeah.
few of
Yeah.
them are out of work at the moment. So yes, there has been discussion, but I don't know if you know this, but it takes about 14 years to learn this trade that I'm doing.
Right. Right. Sure. Sure.
So
Yeah.
if you get a new animal, you then kind of have to go through the whole process again. And obviously that's a long time. So yes, we've looked at other animals. I think when I'm getting older, say my back's getting bad, or
Mm,
I
mm.
think I'll look then at getting an apprentice or a few apprentices and start them straight out of school. No
Yeah.
need to go to uni, get onto the swinging animal swinging apprenticeship, and then we'll go from there. And there's lots of suitable animals, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something I've seen obviously a few of your YouTube videos explaining it, a few of your brilliant tutorials. But I guess with a fox, would I be right in thinking its tail quite good for you can hold on to it, really swing it well? That they've always got quite a good tail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've only done this twice in a tester run.
Mm.
Um, there was one that had an amazing tail. I think this particular one was from Godalming. There was one from the
Oh yeah.
Cotswolds,
Hmm.
and then there was one in sort of where was this one? I think it was from South London,
Right.
and they all have different types of tails depending on what they've been up to, what their diet was, and everything like that. So the ones from the Cotswolds and Godalming had really fluffy
Mm.
tails.
Mm.
Godalming's one was very shiny.
I
The
bet.
South
Yeah.
London one, its tail wasn't as fluffy, but I tell you what, the actual tail,
Yeah.
very resilient, very chunky.
Right.
I think that would be quite a good fox to use over the long term. Whereas I think the other two perhaps will be better in sort of soft environments, soft homes,
Mm.
soft play centres.
Mm.
Whereas the other fox, the South London fox, you could take into probably, a build which isn't complete yet, put a hard hat on it and it'll be fine.
That's great. That's great. And also, I think a fox in a hard hat is an image we'd all like to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's going to happen.
I do hope it happens. And small little high vis fests for foxes too would be smart, especially as they're often out and about at night.
Yeah.
It would make them a lot safer, definitely.
Oh, 100%. Well, do you know what? We have part of our organization, the catswinging.org.uk.blobber, I think it is.
Mm,
You
mm.
can, there's a little suggestion page because we've got a fund. And so if you've got a suggestion for how we can spend our fund, a little donation fund, you could put in there high vis vests for foxes,
That's great.
and it would come up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you know, I would put that in, and I'll tell you my other one that I put in, and I fully appreciate this might not work, but like obviously you swing cats to find out the size of rooms, you do it for very professional reasons, but there are other things that are very popular now, like axe throwing, I don't know what else people throw actually. They mainly throw axes, don't they?
Oh,
Toothbrushes,
actually,
shoes,
yeah,
but
no, there's the watermelon throwing.
oh yeah,
I believe the latest there was something about baby grow throwing but but I think it was hard because they were saying they don't go too far,
mm,
but they
mm.
throw them over these sticks that have bottles on the top. And so
Right,
you get the baby grow over the top of the bottle.
right,
And then
that's
it creates
clever.
a flag. It creates a flag, and it's a particular sort of mum and baby activity, I think, in the sort of Nappy Valley areas.
That's nice. That's very nice. I hadn't really thought of that. Yeah, that's nice. Because I mean, obviously in the olden days it was just stick throwing.
Yeah.
And but what I was wondering is whether or not there could be a kind of leisure based cat swinging, fox throwing turtle hurling activities. Have you ever thought about going into the leisure industry?
Gosh, that's actually a fantastic idea. Do you know, I haven't, but I was looking at applying for The Apprentice, and I do believe that that could be a really good business
Mm,
idea to give to Lord Alan Sugar, maybe.
I think he'd love that. I'm sure he'd
Yeah.
love. If you said, "Here's a weasel, how far can you lob it?" and he'd spend a whole weekend.
Yeah, he would spend a whole weekend. Although I don't want to get on the wrong side of him. He'd be calling me a weasel, wouldn't he? But I've got to make sure it's a solid business plan, that one. But I do think he would like it. I think he would probably like foxes as well, being someone who's from he's sort of a wheeler dealer. I feel like a fox is
Yeah.
kind of character as that. But yeah, I think that could be a really good thing. I'm going to borrow that for my application for The Apprentice, Tiernan.
Please do.
Thank
You
you.
you run with it, and I hope it leads to I hope it leads to really fun weekend activities that I can come and try at some point. As long as obviously all the foxes, I'm sure the foxes and weasels will be well into this sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, you're right. You've nailed down the fact that they're the right kind of animal to be doing it with, and I think they're all over the country. So it'd be great to get them into leisure centres. I bet people would be doing it for their hen do's, stag do's,
Mm.
corporate tea weekends, school trips.
Yeah, I mean, for a hen do, you could throw hens. For a stag do, you could throw a stag, which is admittedly harder. But I think there's definitely something to look into there. Yeah.
But well, Tina, maybe we scrap The Apprentice, and could you and I, collaborate and go on Dragon's Den, maybe?
Yeah, I'm in, and then we can talk to them about throwing dragons. I'm sure they'd be. I think there's a
Yeah.
definitely an activity for everyone. It's listen,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, what you're doing is brilliant, and we need pioneers like you, and I'm very very pleased that you come on the podcast
Oh, thank
with
you.
your cat swinging expertise. It's a joy to have you here. Now, Jen, obviously, when I approached you about this, that I have got a question that I do need you to answer. But as is the case with this podcast, as always, I've got a couple of admin questions that I do have to ask you first. How do you feel about admin?
Yeah, admin, very, very important. I think that, I don't like it, but I
Mm,
learned from a young age that you have to do it.
yeah.
I know that essentially you have to make sure all the files are organized in the right places, so that you know where they are. I like to organize mine, particularly by flavors of jelly,
Mm,
blackcurrant.
hmm.
I even have a blancmange folder. And I know
Wow.
exactly what goes in each of those folders now because I've been doing it. My dad told me do it from young. So from the age of about 4, I've been organizing things into flavors of jelly, and now I've got a sort of secure system. So it's the filing for me that's important
Mm.
because of all the folders I'm across. So I don't like it, but I found a way to make it fun, and I make myself do it.
It's great, and you're never going to get the wrong flavour at the wrong time, and I think that's what's most important. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you
absolutely,
don't want a
absolutely.
blancmange. You don't want a blancmange when you're looking for a raspberry.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, this particular, before I came on this, I was looking for my times and I was like, oh, because I have sheets where I file times and everything.
Mm,
I
mm.
need so many reminders. This was in the Raspberry folder. Um, but there are a few boring things that I had to put in the old blancmange folder, but I know where they are.
Yeah, yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair, and yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Blancmange, you'd think it would be exciting with the name like that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it doesn't get a fair rap. I mean, I think I had it once at my granny's when I was younger, and I do remember not particularly enjoying it, but it might be one of those things that could be reinvented, Tiernan. You know how they've reinvented a lot of things, like there's
Yeah.
posh popcorn now, and like maybe there could be sort of like a more fun
Oh,
take on
fun
blonde.
blancmange. That's a
Yeah,
great idea. Yeah, there must be like put sausages in it or something. There must be something you could do to really jazz up a blancmange.
yeah.
There'll be some
And
weird like if you had something savoury that's unexpected. That's normally the trick, isn't it?
yeah,
Like
I
pickled
think so.
blancmange.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it could be taken.
Yeah.
I think it could be taken to the park. You can take it on a plane. You
Mm.
can take it for your lunch at school because it's transportable. If it's just there in this little solid, well, no, like a kind of you can. It's transportable in its blancmange sort of blob form, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think they definitely allow that through airport security. I think if you were turned up to airport security with a full blancmange, but it was like a fancy blancmange, they'd let you straight
Yeah.
through. I don't think they'd even search you.
No, I think you're right. And you just reminded me actually, talking about airports and checking. I actually once I was in the airport and the lady in front of me, her name was Blancmange actually. You just reminded
Wow,
me.
wow. And was
Um,
she allowed through?
Yeah, she was allowed
Yeah.
through.
Mm,
She was a bit, she's a bit wobbly on her feet, but
mm, mm, mm.
I think her name was Blancmange Johnson Jones or something like that. Because I remember
Right.
being like, whoa, that's a strong sort of end.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but wobbly on her feet. And she had her bag like completely burst open and everything. But she got through, and yeah, she was on her
Wow.
merry way to Costa del Calabria, whatever it was we were going to.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds. I can imagine if you're called Blancmange, you're probably allowed to go everywhere. Probably even space. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that is quite a tale. Well, listen, Jen, I'm glad you're all right with admin. I've got these two questions for you, and I think take them how they come, but we do have to have an answer for the sake of the podcast. So the first one is I'm sure you're aware, but this podcast is suitable for people of all possible ages, middle ages, ice ages, 63, 102, whatever. And I just need to check if there are any rude words you won't be saying, just to make sure it's safe for everyone.
Oh yeah, there is one.
Mm.
Oh, there is one. I say it a lot and I always get told off. Jumble snot.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's disgusting, as you know. It's not nice because it sort of makes fun of all the snots,
Yes.
the rainbow snots, the city snots,
Mm.
the brown snots, and I shouldn't be saying it anymore, really.
It's not a nice word, and I think it is like you say is I mean, like a jumble sale is just a bit of a mishmash of stuff, isn't it? A jumble snot is not
Yeah.
there. If you've got one of those up your nose, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's it means that it's a sign that basically the person who's got the jumble snot has been all over the shop. They've been all over the place,
Mm,
and and you sort of think, oh, that person's not very focused, which is a bit judgmental
true.
because obviously I'm all over the place myself, so I shouldn't be. It's the historical meaning of the word, isn't it? That the person who's got the jumble snot, which is all jumbled up types of snot,
Mm,
has been here, there, and everywhere to get that snot, and that they're not a
yes.
very focused person. But do you know what? Nowadays, an unfocused person is someone who's multi-talented, multi-passionate,
Yeah.
can juggle things. And I think it's outdated, and I just shouldn't be using it anymore, really, Tiernan.
Well, it's true. Do you know what? That's a very fair. It is an old fashioned term, and I think our opinions of jumble snot have changed quite a lot. I mean, I haven't checked in on the kind of the snot flavors chart where a jumble snot falls either. I'd have
Mm.
thought now it's kind of seen as like fusion food, because it
Yes,
contains all the
exactly.
all the snots. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly that. And it's one of those things where, years ago, there's so many things in there that years ago you would never even think these people would never have dreamed up what we have now. And
Mm,
it's I
mm.
suppose it should be a positive word now, really. It should be, but I know that a lot of people still use it in this way. And I just have it from growing up hearing it in my environment. It just comes out, when I make a mistake or when I'm waiting in a
Mm.
queue, I'm very impatient and I might just shout jumble snot and it's not great. I feel guilty immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, just to educate us, all, what is the correct term we should be using now? Is it fusion bogies? Is that the right word? What's the
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah? Is
Yes,
that is
fusion.
that the that's the correct term to so that we don't upset anyone? Yeah,
Yeah, fusion bogies,
right,
and because
right.
that includes all the textures as well, the crusty
Mm,
ones, the soft ones, the spongy ones, the
yes,
gooey
yeah,
ones.
yeah.
And so yeah, absolutely, fusion bogies, I believe is the correct term. So it's about time I started saying it.
Well, yeah, and listen, thank you for not saying jumble snot on this show. I would most certainly never say that because I can't imagine the trouble that we'd get into
I
as a
know.
podcast. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, apologies to anyone who's obviously heard that and tuned in already. But yeah, as you know, we're consciously making an effort not to say it.
not to say jumble snot. I won't be saying it. You won't be saying it. No one here says jumble snot ever again. So thank
Yeah.
you very much, Jen. I really appreciate that. Now listen, next question. It's a bit different, but it is equally as important. Jen, would you rather your legs and arms were made of bath sponges, or you had to carry a full-sized panda with you everywhere you went?
Wow, oh my goodness. Well, obviously, it would have to be the panda because if I
Yeah.
had my bath sponge arms and legs, although I would love the fact that what I would like about it is that if you were walking along and you squished on the ground and the water was in there, you'd get that smell, you'd get that lovely sort of
Mm,
pure vanilla
mm.
squash every time, which I think is nice. But I don't think it'd be great for visiting people. I don't think it'd be great for my job where I have to swing and I squish into the ground. Probably
Mm.
terrible on dates. Not the best first impression. So I think that the panda would be great because A, if I'm really stuck, maybe I could use the giant panda for my job if I'm
I
specifically in
did
large.
think that. Yes, that's something that hadn't occurred to me when we obviously got this question sent through admin. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that could actually be quite handy. Alternatively, um, I do also think it would be a friend because it's a lonely career, Tiernan, I don't meet many other people like me. I'm freelancer, so I don't see people in an office
Mm.
much. So I think it would be nice to have sort of a co-work panda slash security guard when I'm out late at night because, I work all hours of the day as a freelancer as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to just mention here though. There are some things to think about in different weather types, right? So obviously, bath sponge is not great when it rains. Your legs and arms get very heavy, but when it's
Mm,
sunny and dry, you'll be very bouncy, very springy, and feel very light. Whereas, of course, if you're carrying a panda on your back, and you'd probably have to carry a substantial amount of bamboo as well, that's going to get very
mm.
heavy, and in the summer months, probably very warm.
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, a disclaimer here, Tin, I'm a very sweaty, hot person,
Right.
altogether. Most times of year, summer, I'm pretty much drenched. And so I think that the sponges probably okay, it would help absorb that, but no one's really going to notice the difference if I'm hot from a panda or just hot because
Oh,
I am
that's
very
clever.
sweaty. So I probably could conceal that, and people will be like, she's hot from carrying the panda, or is she just hot? And if they know me, they won't be alarmed because they'll know my sweaty problems. Well, they're not even problems, it's just the way I am.
Yeah, yeah, and if
Um,
anything, the panda might sort of soak up some of it's got lovely fur. It will, whereas the
yeah,
sponges will just get very heavy, full of sweat. Yeah,
precisely.
yeah.
So yeah, I'd be
That's
willing to sacrifice that in the hot weather.
that's fair. That's fair.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really good call, and I mean, it's kind of an unfair question, really, because who doesn't like a sponge, but who doesn't like a panda? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
everyone likes a sponge, but everyone loves a panda.
I know. I mean, the only thing I'd probably be worried about is the amount of people who'd be running up to me, trying to probably, there might be people on mopeds trying to go past and steal the panda out my
Probably
hand
would
or,
be. Mm.
yeah, I got to be careful of that. So I guess it's something that people might want that I've got to just protect. People might be coming up to me a lot more. I do sometimes get approached when I'm in the newspaper and things anyway.
Yeah.
I stay humble about that. But with a panda, I think it could be double the approaches, and so I've probably got to learn to manage the fame, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I think you'd be fine. Judging by how you are already with your fame, I think I can't see it being a problem for you. But I
Yeah.
do also think, yeah, I mean, it's something that we didn't calculate before. But obviously, yeah, you've got a really big room and you need to swing an animal in there. You've got your panda right in your bag, and that feels just
Yeah,
it feels like there's no other option really. It just feels like a very smart
yeah,
choice. Yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Wow. Well, listen, thank you, Jen. Thank you for answering those two very, very important, almost legally binding questions. This is the question I've asked you here for, though, and it's a good one, right? And it's been sent in by I'm not sure how to pronounce this. It's spelled TGHFDUEGI. I think it's Tugafudwigi.
Oh yeah.
Tugafudwigi, maybe. Um,
Yes.
is that sound about right? Do you know any
Yes. Now
Tugafudwigis?
you say it, I'm pretty sure behind me in the airport queue, in front of me was Blamont Johnson Jones, and then Tigger Wee was behind me.
How
Because
interesting.
I talked to them. I'm pretty sure I talked to them and their dad on the plane. So I don't know if it's the same one.
Very possibly. Very possibly. Yeah. I mean, it says they're from the UK, and so I think they mean all of the UK all at once. Like they just constantly
Yes, I think
traveling.
it's the same. I think it's
Yeah.
the same person. Can you believe that?
Well, I mean, no, I mean that's fantastic. Maybe that's why they sent this one in just for you. They just the other bit of information we got is they are 1,567 dancing typewriters, and I don't know if you know the dancing typewriters age conversion chart, but I think that means they're about 54 years old. Does that sound about right to you?
Oh, well, maybe the dad's name. Maybe it was the dad. I was calling the dad Kevin. maybe his name was Tigger for
Oh,
wee.
maybe I've
Oh
got my
gosh,
dancing
how embarrassing.
typewriters. I might have the calculations wrong. I
No,
might
I think
have
you're right. I think you're right. Or do you know what? It could have just been a different. There could be two or three in the country, maybe more.
maybe a very
Anyway,
popular name actually. I'm not entirely down
yeah.
with people like really interesting names now, and I think yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Well, listen. I mean, they have sent through this message, and they this is a big question actually. But they say, tee hee. If we can see through glass, why can't we see through a wall?
Oh, oh, okay. Well, funnily enough, I attended a historical walk maybe 3 years ago now,
Hmm.
and I learnt about this. So basically, many years ago, I think it was probably BC. Um, somebody started this secret society,
Hmm.
okay? And they were like, right, we need to have secret missions, secret things going on. Basically, they were almost like the MI5 of
Right.
BC.
Oh
And
wow.
so they needed essentially they were in see-through areas, aka there was nothing around them. There were no private areas. The caves had already been inhabited.
Hmm.
And so they were like, well, we've got all this space. We need to figure out how to create some secret, areas for our missions. So they decided to create walls. Now, I don't know if they were made out of bricks at that stage, but I think they were cobblestones, things that they could find in the environment. That was very successful. They were able to carry out their secret missions, national security. And so they continued to make sure that they were always secret, which is why the wall was made. They also created glass as a
Hmm.
distraction
Yeah.
from their secret from the walls because basically they said if humans have got glass, it's obviously creating a subdivider, it adds to the room, but the fact that they can see through it will keep them occupied, so they stop, mucking around and coming over and looking at our walls. And so I believe they're called the Wallanders, and the Wallanders made sure that nobody could see their secret missions, and the glass was put there as a decoy to stop the other people getting curious about the walls.
Wow. I mean that's a fascinating history. I didn't know anything about that. I mean, it must have been really hard being a spy and a secret society in the days when there was nothing to hide behind, and everyone would just walk up
Yeah,
and go, "What are you doing?" And they'd have to say, "Shh, like we can't.
yeah,
It's secret." That would be awful. Yeah.
yeah, it was. I think they had a really hard time of it, and I think they did shh a lot back then, because that was their only tool at the end
Mm.
of the day. Whereas now, they've created a whole legacy. And without them, let's be honest, Tin, and I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't have any rooms to swing around cats and, you
Yes.
know, do my job. So I'm thankful to the Wallanders, to be fair.
That's a very good point. And do you think it is why I suppose you don't really get any secret societies in glass houses?
No, I mean, I have come across a couple of plants before who were in greenhouses,
Yes,
and they
sorry,
were,
I say glass houses. They're called greenhouses, but they're glass, which is always very confusing
yeah,
to me.
absolutely. And
Yes, yeah.
obviously, the word glass houses is part of our literary heritage. There's a famous saying. What's the saying about glass houses? There's a saying,
You
isn't there?
shouldn't
I can't remember.
is it you shouldn't throw stones in a
Glass.
glass
That's it.
house. But then if you're
In
not
a
in
glass
what if
house.
you're in a greenhouse which is made of glass, should you throw stones? What happens if you're in a
Only,
stone house? Should you throw glass? There's very vague
yeah,
instructions. Yeah.
very vague instructions. You know, I imagine if they want that muffled effect, if the plant is trying to upgrade their homes, they want the sort of, that sort of chip
Mm.
effect you can get in glass.
Yes. Yeah.
That became trendy in the 70s. If they want that effect, people do have to throw stones.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Okay.
I believe that, yeah, the I just came across a Swiss cheese, and I think it was just a tomato plant. They did have a mission once, and they were actually just they were just trying to gang up on me, to be fair.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, that's another story, I've dealt with plant bullies before, and I'll deal with them again.
Wow.
But
Good
they were
for
just
you.
creating a secret mission to gang up on me, because I was having a picnic just in front. They basically wanted in. I was trying to protect my picnic. Anyway, long story,
Good for
but
you. Yeah.
I guess that's a secret mission, and the fact that I could see them, didn't help them out. So they're not that clever.
Yeah, well, they're not. And I mean, listen, credit to you. Not enough people stand up to plants. That's what it's always about. Save the plants. It's always about let's have more green space. But sometimes Get rid of them. Just pull them out. They are being really horrid. You know.
Yeah, they need occasionally they need telling
Yeah,
sometimes,
I think so.
They yeah, I think so. So yeah, that's the only mission I can sort of talk about in
Mm.
glass. But yeah, I'm yet to get any work in a greenhouse, to be fair. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit bitter, let's face it.
I don't
But
know. I don't blame you. But you know, it's better. You don't want to be working with colleagues like plants anyway. They're just gonna make things hard for you. I mean, I do want to ask what you think because obviously walls you can't see through, glass you can. Why are
mm,
drinks in glasses? Wouldn't it be better to like? What if you wanted to have, I don't know, a secret juice, a secret squash? Would you have to have a glass made of a wall? Or what happens if your eyeglasses? What if you want to? Would you need to have them made of walls if you only want to see secret things, or if you're part of a secret society, or how does that work?
yeah, well, I think from doing my sort of survey work with my cat swinging,
Mm, mm.
there's this new, as you know, things are evolving and developing all the time. So
Yes.
there's something called a thin wall paste. So essentially, you can actually paint on tiny miniature bricks now onto surfaces, and it will create almost the same sturdiness as a brick wall. That's how
Wow.
much we've evolved. Can you believe that?
That's
Um,
amazing. Could you paint
it's
it on like
amazing.
your leg and have an incredible brick leg?
Well, I think they're working on a cosmetic version because they're trying to make wall bots in that. There's a film, I think it's called War on Wall Bots.
Right, right.
I think it's being filmed at Shepperton Studios now, and they are trying to create a version you can use synthetically because they've got these
Yeah, yeah.
bots on the walls. But with this version, you can paint it onto a glass and it will basically mean that it's not see-through. You can paint it onto anything that is a material. And so to answer your question, Tiernan, it is possible.
Wow, wow. What a world we live in. You know, it's
Yeah,
it's like the future is here. I mean, because it's not, because it's the future and it's still in the future, but it is also here. And at the
yeah,
moment, even though it
yeah,
can't be, yes, it's fascinating. I find it so exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I do like staying ahead and staying abreast of all these different developments that are happening. So if stuff's in the pipeline, I've got my ear to the ground about all the developments as much as possible because that's a key part of being a freelancer as well. You've got to know your
You've got to
stuff.
know. You've got to know, and you know, I'm sure as well that to Fuigi,
Yes.
in their question, I'm sure that at some point you may well get see-through walls as well. You know, why not? If you can have these, if you can have glass that looks like bricks, I'm sure the other way around is coming too, and then everyone can kind of have the walls or glass that they desire.
Yeah, I think that would be a wonderful development.
Mm.
I wonder if you could suggest that somewhere, Tin, I think that's a really
Yes,
good idea.
it's a really good. Yeah, maybe I need. Could we fit that in on Dragon's Den as well? Do you think there's space to do a
Oh
couple of
yeah.
ideas, or
Yeah, definitely. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we walked in to the music and then just got it, just like basically pulled across a glass wall and then did our presentation through the glass wall? I mean, maybe
wow?
we could frosted effect and we could be like, look, behind this wall, we can be someone else. And I could just see it now and their minds are going to be blown.
That'd be amazing. Then you can throw a few armadillos over the top and be like, "How
Yeah,
much fun was
absolutely.
that?" Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
this is. I think this is a business plan and a half. I mean, I'm very excited
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah.
Very
No, me
excited.
too. Me too. We've got to plan in another chat. I'll get my strawberry file out and we can schedule it later.
That's fantastic. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. And listen, Jen, thank you so much for answering for Dweegee's question. I hope they feel satisfied with that
Problem.
answer. And look, it's just been lovely having you on the show with all of this fascinating insight into the world of cat swinging, and indeed other animal swinging, and indeed walls and glass. And I just wondered what's coming up for you in the next 5 to 10 seconds.
Oh, I'm going to be very busy. I'm making a fur coat out of the leftover
Oh
fur.
yes, yeah.
Sell them on my Etsy shop, and then I am going sorry, down to Dungeness because I have got a scout hut with a caravan extension to swing the cats around in.
Amazing. Well, listen, you are. I know you're very, very busy, so thank you again for your time, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Lovely. Thanks for having me.
Big thanks to Jen Wakefield for taking time out of Swinging Cats to help answer Tugudafwigi's very important questions about walls and glass. Tugudafwigi, I do hope you liked your answer, but if not, please put any complaints you have behind a wall and then I'll never be able to see it. If you have a question that you need to have answered or you want to send in anything else at all, then please get your nearest snoring blockheads, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And do also please ask them to sign you up to the advert-free Linda edition to help support this show being able to happen. And I'll be honest, listeners, I've still not had any luck finding Linda. While you listen to the most important bit, I checked a bird's nest, but no Linda. I checked a supermarket, but no Linda. And no aisles for Lindas either. I checked the pockets of old jackets, but no Linda.
Hey there.
Me? Are you, strange guru person on a large rock, talking to me?
Yes, you. If you want to find Linda, you must first look inside yourself.
What? What does that mean, look inside myself? Is Linda a bacteria? No wonder she couldn't serve me coffee.
No, I meant it as an expression. Look inside yourself for the truth.
Why would the truth be inside me? I've only got organs in there, like my heart and my stomach. Oh, and the sandwich I had for lunch. How would I even look in there? What, through my belly button? You're weird.
You don't understand. When you realize who you truly are, then and only then can you find Linda.
I'm Tiernan, I know that. You, however, seem like an idiot. I'm off. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Are you sitting on Linda?
No, I'm really not.
Get up. I need to check.
Okay, but this rock is very high, and sometimes I get dizzy if I stand up too quickly.
Hurry up, I've got so many places to look.
Okay. Oh, no, feeling so dizzy. Oh, no. Wah!
Ugh, no, still no Linda. That man was no help at all. The search must continue. I'll see you all next week. Bye.
You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.